Hi, I'm Lewis at CP+R. We're going to start things off by asking you to walk on the spot while I explain what is going to go on in this video. We would like to help you take control of your cardiac health and in turn help you to live longer better. Throughout this routine, we're going to aim for an RPE of 6. Now RPE stands for a rate of perceived exertion. A 6 would be an intensity you could maintain for 30 minutes while holding a conversation but not being able to sing. I'd like you to keep an eye on your RPE throughout this program and adjust the intensity where appropriate. At CP+R, we follow the time under tension theory. The longer you keep your muscles under tension, the greater the benefits. The sweet spot being 60 to 90 seconds. These benefits include cardiovascular adaptations, muscular strength, and muscular endurance, amongst many others. Today, we're going to aim for 60 seconds time under tension in each exercise. When we exercise, the working muscles have a higher demand for oxygen, and this is met with a greater amount of blood flow. The heart is also a working muscle and therefore also requires more oxygen and blood flow during exercise. During our warm-up, we need to allow time for the coronary arteries that surround the heart to dilate, which will allow more oxygen and more blood flow to the heart, taking strain off the cardiovascular system. Throughout this video, we are going to have rest periods between exercises, but if you find yourself out of breath or struggling, please feel free to pause the video at any point. Also during these breaks, please continue until the timer stops. I'll be using these periods to explain the next exercise. We're now going to increase the intensity of our warm-up, going to hamstring walkouts away from our walking on the spot. So please join me on the edge of your mat. Our feet are going to be shoulder width apart. We're going to hinge backwards and walk out like so, keeping our legs nice and straight. Coming to the edge of our mat, we're then going to come back into the starting position. Now, if you struggle to get into this position due to flexibility, that's absolutely fine. Please feel free to bend your knees, continuing the exercise like so. Throughout this exercise, you're going to feel this down the back of your leg in your hamstrings, keeping an eye on your RPE and heart rate throughout while controlling your breathing. Perfect. Our next exercise is going to be alternative single hand toe touches, again for 45 seconds. This time our feet are going to be wider than shoulder width, arms out, nice and straight like so, and we're just going to come down to the opposite ankle, changing side every rep. Again guys, if you can't get into this position all the way down to the ankle, that's absolutely fine. Please find a position that's comfortable for you, such as the calf or towards the knee. Focusing in on that breathing. Once we've hit 45 seconds, we're going to go back into our step and rotate. So back onto the edge of the mat, we're going to take a step out like so, coming down just before we hit the floor, down to 90 degrees in both knees. And we're going to rotate, then stepping back up into the starting position and alternating legs. The heart rate should be slowly rising now. Again, focus in on the breathing. 45 seconds of this exercise, we're nearly there. Fantastic guys, next up we're going into that crab walk, okay? So we're gonna be on the edge of our mat, into a squat position, side-stepping to the other side of the mat, straight back into that starting position, okay? Making sure we're going for 45 seconds, focusing in on that breathing. Our chest is gonna be up throughout, and we're starting to increase that intensity now as we go through the warm-up. So the heart rate should be slowly rising, as should that RPE. Making sure we're really engaging that core, as this is a fantastic exercise for full body, and we're waking up those muscles that we're going to be working in the main body. Superb, last 3, 2, 1, then we're going into our stepping stars, which is like star jumps but a lower intensity, so we're stepping out, like so. And as we get halfway, we're going to change sides. So now we're coming out to the other side, like so. We're now way over halfway through your warm-up. We should be working towards that RP of 6. Remember, keep a nice focus on your breathing throughout, and if you need to grab some water, please do. High intensity throughout, focusing in on that breathing. If you want to make it harder and get that heart rate higher, obviously you can just speed up that exercise ever so slightly. Fantastic, guys. We're almost there. Lovely, and in 3, 2, 1, we're now going to go into the reverse lunges as we increase the intensity further. Similar to our step and rotate, but this time we're stepping backwards, then coming back up, alternating each time. Again, 90 degrees in both knees. Focusing in on that breathing. Lovely, this should be activating the glutes throughout the movement. Engage your core to stay stable, and remember, speed isn't the focus here. You really want to focus on activating your glutes and take your time throughout this movement. Okay guys, now we're going to go into our main body. What I want you to do is focus on our time under tension today. We're aiming for 60 seconds, and that's going to be broken down into 15 repetitions, 2 seconds on the way down, 2 seconds on the way up. We're going to start off with our sit to stand. We're going to use the chair like so, standing just in front, feet shoulder width apart, coming down, touching the chair, straight back up. 2 seconds on the way down, 2 seconds on the way back up. Focus in on that breathing. I really want to make sure that you're focusing on that technique, so knees out to the side, no further than the end of your shoelace, and our chest is up nice and proud throughout. Fantastic, guys, let's push through, okay? We're working our glutes, hamstrings, and quadriceps in this exercise. 60 seconds of work. If you want to make this harder, you can hold 2 dumbbells either side. Or if you want to make it easier, you can reduce the depth of what you go to by adding some towels or some books onto the chair. We're nearly there now. Let's keep pushing through. Focus in on that breathing. And that's 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Now we've got 15 seconds of rest. Take a drink on board, check in on that heart rate. Next, we're going into that upright row. So we're going to use our TheraBands. And we're going to hold the TheraBand thumbs width apart like so, bringing it up towards the chin. And I'm really going to make sure my elbows are always higher than my wrists throughout this exercise. Little pinch in the shoulder blades. I'm predominantly using my deltoids and my shoulders, as well as my trapezius and my rhomboids between my shoulder blades. Again, 2 seconds on the way up, 2 seconds on the way down, with a big focus in on that breathing and engaging that core. Squeezing the band at the top. Again, 2 seconds on the way down. Fantastic, guys, we're over halfway now. Let's keep that time under tension throughout this movement. Good, and focus in on that breathing. Remember, elbows higher than wrists, squeezing the shoulder blades together throughout the movement. Just a little bit more then, guys. Let's keep the tension on the band throughout. We're nearly home. Last 3, 2, 1. Let's take a breather there, drink on board. Next up, we're going into that chair press. For this exercise, we're going to use 2 chairs. And we're going to come down onto our knees like so. Hands nice and wide on the edge of the chair. When you're ready, we're coming down, leading with the chest towards the chair, tucking in the elbows, exhaling as you come back up. Make sure you're in a comfortable position here, guys. If you want to make it easier, knees closer to the chair. If you want to make it harder, coming up onto your toes like so. Again, tucking in the elbows, shoulders away from the ears. You're going to be feeling this in your chest, so your pectoral muscles. You're also going to be feeling this down the back of the arm in your triceps and the front of your shoulders in your anterior deltoids. Focus in on that breathing. We're almost there. Really challenge yourself with that depth now. How low can you go? How close to the chair can you get? Of course, if you haven't got a chair, you can also use a bench or a step to do the same exercise. Keep pushing through. We're almost there now, guys. Fantastic. Here we go. Last 3, 2, 1, and rest it there. Take your breather on board. Check that heart rate. Check that RPE. Next up, we're going into the seated shoulder press, okay? So we're gonna start with the chair back into the center position. Dumbbells placed in hands like so. I'm coming up, drawing my house. So first of all, straight walls, then diagonal roof. Coming up to the top, then straight back down. To help with the blood flow around the body, I'm just gonna tap my toes like so, reducing the strain in the cardiovascular system. You could also do this standing, but it requires greater core control to keep your spine in a nice neutral position. This is predominantly going to be working your shoulders, so your deltoids, but you also want to make sure that core's engaged throughout this exercise. Very nice, guys. Remember that time under tension. 2 seconds on the way up, 2 seconds straight back down. Making sure you're hiding your ears so you're not coming too far forward or too far back in this exercise. Fantastic, we're nearly there. Let's keep pushing through. We're almost at the end of our first round already. Very nice, keep it going. Last 3, 2, and 1. Rest it there, that's the end of round 1. Get your drinks on board. Take a breather before we go back into round 2. Last 5 seconds now, catch your breath. Here we go, 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. Same again as the first round. We're keeping our knees back and out to the side, working those glutes, hamstrings and quads. Like we said before, if you want to make this exercise harder, you can have some small dumbbells. If you want to make it easier, you can reduce the depth of where you go down to. Keep focusing on that breathing, pushing the floor away as you come back up. We're nearly there. Big focus on breathing as we push that floor away as you come back up. Now, if you're struggling with a forward lean like so, what you can do is place your hands on opposite shoulders like so, and just make sure that your elbows are parallel to the floor as you come down. That's gonna make sure that your chest doesn't cave in and you don't lean too far forward. 2 seconds on the way down, 2 seconds on the way back up. Focus in on that breathing. Okay guys, last 15 seconds before we go into that rest. Should be feeling it in those glutes, hamstrings and quads. And rest it there. Take a drink, take a breather before we go back into that upright row. Remember, if you want to make this one harder, you can increase the resistance of your band or use some small dumbbells. We're going all the way up to the chin like so, making sure that our elbows are always higher than our wrists. Again, feel it in those deltoids and in between the shoulder blades. Focusing in on that breathing. 2 seconds on the way up like so, super, then 2 seconds on the way back down. We're halfway now, keep it going, keep that squeeze. If you want to make it easier, you can go to some water bottles, but we're going to that overload stage where we can't perform any more time under tension. We're almost there, and then we can go back into our rest. Here we go, focus in on that breathing. A nice pinch between the shoulder blades, keep a nice neutral spine. Squeezing the band at the top. Again, 2 seconds on the way down, 2 seconds on the way up. The big focus in on that breathing as you pull. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Superb. Take a breather, take a drink. We're going into that chair press next. Just making sure that your equipment is out of the way so you can perform this safely. Remember, if you want to challenge yourself in this one, you can come up onto your toes like so. Just ensuring that your ankle, hip, and shoulders are always in line. Coming on like so, then exhaling as you push away. Feeling it in the chest and triceps. If you want to make it easier, remember, coming back down onto your knees and you can shuffle them a little bit closer to the chairs. Pushing away with that same technique, making sure you're not hunching in those shoulders at all, keeping your shoulders as far away from your ears as possible, focusing in on that breathing. We're nearly there now, keep pushing through. Really challenge yourself with that depth now. How low can you go? How close to the chair can you get? course, if you haven't got a chair, you can also use a bench or a step to do the same exercise. Keep pushing through. We're almost there now, guys. Last 5 seconds and we're going back into that rest. In 3, 2, and 1. Take your breather there. We're going into the seated shoulder press next. Chair back in the central position like so. Dumbbells in hand when you're ready. Let's go for it. Drawing that house shape, I like to call it. So coming down diagonally, drawing the roof, then straight down, drawing the walls. 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. We really want to make sure that you're hiding your ears throughout this now, so the dumbbells are not coming too far forward or too far back. Big focusing on that breathing and core engaged throughout. What I'd like you to do is gently tap your toes, which will help return the blood flow back to the heart. Similar to that chair press, you want to make sure that your shoulders are not too hunched like this. Keep them down and away from the ears. Squeezing those deltoids. We're almost there now, guys. Keep pushing through. Focus in on that breathing. Remember, if you want to make it harder, increase the weights. If you want to make it easier, go back to those water bottles. There's no shame. We're almost there. We're just challenging ourselves now. Last 5 seconds, then we're going back into that breather before we go into our next exercise. In 3, 2, and 1. Take a rest there. That's round 2 done. We've got one more left. One more left. That's a sit to stand we're starting off with, okay? When you're ready, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, we're coming straight into those sit to stand. Then back up. 2 seconds on the way down. 2 seconds on the way back up. Focus in on that breathing. I really want to make sure that you're focusing on that technique, so knees out to the side, no further than the end of your shoelace, and our chest is up nice and proud throughout. Fantastic, guys. Let's push through, okay? We're working our glutes, hamstrings, and quadriceps in this exercise. If you want to challenge yourself, remember, we're holding those little weights, or we're actually going to take some of those books or towels away. Challenge yourself, really push yourself. Should be feeling that in the glutes, hamstrings, and quadriceps, all that lower body. Core's nice and engaged as well to keep yourself stable. Spine's nice and neutral. Superb, guys. Here we go. We're nearly there. Coming into the final 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Superb. Take your breather. Next up, you guessed it, back into that upright row. Last one of these we're doing today as well. When you're ready, we're coming back into that upright row in 3, 2, and 1. All the way up to the chin. Similar to the ones I said before, making sure we're not hunching those shoulders, they're down and away. Elbows always higher than our wrists. Big focusing on that breathing, core engaged. Good, should be feeling this in the deltoids, in the lower traps, and those rhomboids in between the shoulder blade. Keep a nice pinch between those shoulder blades throughout this exercise as well. Coming all the way up to the chin. Elbows higher than wrists. Here we go now, guys. We're almost there, over halfway. Keep focusing on that tension in the band. Again, if you want to make it harder, you can go to dumbbells as long as you're keeping that same safe technique. Big focusing on that breathing, superb. Pulling all the way up, slowly back down. Can you focus on that time under tension? 2 seconds. We've actually only got 2 seconds remaining now as well before we go into our rest. Coming back into that chair press next. Again, making sure we're safely just putting our equipment to the side, and we're going down to those 2 chairs. We're gonna come down onto our knees like so. Hands nice and wide on the edge of the chair. When you're ready, we're coming down, leading with the chest towards the chair, tucking in the elbows, exhaling as you come back up. Make sure you're in a comfortable position here, guys. If you want to make it easier, knees closer to the chair. If you want to make it harder, coming up onto your toes like so. My core's engaged so my hips are not dropped like so, and my back isn't arching throughout the movement. 2 seconds on the way down, 2 seconds on the way up. We're over halfway now and we're nearly there for today's exercise, so let's really push ourselves. We're almost there. Should be feeling that across the chest and the pectorals, also down the back of the arms and the triceps, and then potentially at the front of your deltoids and your shoulders as well. Absolutely smashing it, guys. Focus in on that breathing. Remember, RP of 6, no higher, no higher. Good, we're almost there. Keep pushing through. And 1, good. Take your rest, take your breather there. Final exercise, you guessed it, is the shoulder press. After this 15 seconds, we're straight in. What weight are you going for to finish? Here we go. In line with the ears, hiding the ears, we're coming up. 2 seconds, then straight back down, 2 seconds. Remember, we're hiding those ears. We're coming up for 2 seconds, then back down for 2. We're also focusing on that house shape, so up on the walls, then diagonally on the roof. To increase that blood flow around the body, we're just tapping the toes like so. Big focus on that core now, protecting the spine, making sure that we haven't got an arch at all in that lower back. If we are leaning back into the chair, your whole back's in contact. If you are leaning slightly forward, core's engaged, making sure you're not coming too far forward, or just your upper back is touching without your lower back as well. Lovely, here we go. Big focus in on that breathing, guys. Really challenge yourself with the weights as well. Keep those toes tapping. This is the last exercise before we go into the cool down. We're nearly home. In 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Take your breather, take your drink there. We're going into the cool down where we're going to bring that heart rate slowly down now. We're going to start off with a dynamic hamstring stretch like so. Just step 1 foot forward, coming down, and just sweep the floor, making sure we're keeping that front foot straight, back foot with a little bit of a bend in the knee, and then coming up, alternating each time. Guys, I really want you to focus in on everything you've just done today. Really push yourself to your limits, which is fantastic. We're now going into that cool down where your body can remove some of the metabolites and waste products, and this just reduces the risk of hypotension and also arrhythmias. Next up, we're going to go into a groin stretch. So in a nice T position, like so. So I'm stepping out, bending this knee, putting all our weight on this knee. Nice straight leg here as well, so you feel it on the inside of your leg. Then pushing back up, back down again. We're just going to go on to either side, and then we're going to swap over. So come to the other side of your mat, T position again, coming down like so, back up, focusing on that breathing. This should be a lot lower intensity to what we were just doing. Next, we're going to go into our dynamic calf stretch, so we can just take the seat and we're just going to pump the calf. So we're just going to push off our toes or the balls of our feet like so, nice and slowly, really focusing in on the breathing as well. And we should see that heart rate and RPE come down nice and gradually. Absolutely smashed that time under tension today, guys. Congratulations, well done. Next up, we're going into our static quad stretch. So we can do this standing or we can do it on the floor. I'm going to show you standing. Using our chair, we're just going to bring our heel up to our glutes like so, keeping our knees in line, just pushing our hips forward, focusing on our breathing. Good, and once we've done that side, we're going to change over like so. Again, pushing the hips forward, focusing on that breathing throughout. Great. Next, we're going to go into that glute stretch, guys. Back onto our seated position. Bring our left foot up onto our right knee and our right foot as close to us as possible. You can lean into this to intensify the stretch or use our hand to push this knee away. It's really important that we stretch after our exercises because at the moment our muscle fibers are almost like this and we want to stretch them back out to parallel like so. We're going to change over now to the other side. Also, stretching is really key for our lymphatic drainage. So again, removing those waste products and reducing any soreness that we might experience after exercise. Over time as well, of course, it's going to increase our range of motion, which will be really key. Superb. Last 2 seconds here. And then we're going to go into our shoulder stretch. So we're just going to bring our arm across our body and loop the other one in like so. And you'll feel this in the top of the arm and the deltoids. You can intensify the stretch by just looking over the shoulder if you need to. And after this one, of course, we're just going to switch over into the other side. Exact same again, like so. Good. For our final one here, we're going to finish up in our child's pose. We're going to come down onto the mat if it's comfortable to do so. Our knees are going to be nice and wide on the edge of the mat. We're going to sit our hips back towards our heels and then just walk our hands out as far as we possibly can. Focusing on that breathing. This should be a nice, comfortable position here. Coming back into a resting position, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations and well done. And I really hope you enjoyed today's exercise routine.